Hi, this is Andrew Versa with Impact Soundworks, and today I'm going to be demonstrating our newest release, a collaboration with Braille Audio called CYCLOPS. This library is meant to give you all the tools you need to make modern electronic music in just about any genre. This includes stuff like future bass, trap, dubstep, synthwave, and it includes about 1,000 one-shot drum sounds, plus drum loops, midis, and over 300 presets for the Serum wavetable synth. Everything comes in wave format except for the Serum presets, so you don't need Contact or any specific plugin to get started. You just drop the waves into your DAW or to the sampler of your choice, and you're good to go. First, what I want to do is run through some short music that I've made using CYCLOPS. Everything you're about to hear is made using 100% CYCLOPS. There's literally no external processing used. No EQ, compression, reverb, anything like that. These are just the raw sounds directly out of the box. We're going to start with a sort of lo-fi, chill-out beat. Let's take a look at the drum pattern first. We've got one kick, one snare, one closed hi-hat, and then several percussion sounds. We've got a wide variety of sample sources in this library, different kinds of drum machines, synthesizers, and other handcrafted sounds. Everything has been polished so you can just drop it right into a mix. Again, I'm not using any EQ here. Then we've got this beautiful pad sound. And you're going to see that all of the Serum presets also have macros assigned, so you can easily edit the sound even if you don't really know how to use Serum. Then we have this great pluck sound, which I'm using as the lead. This next clip is a much more modern hip-hop sound. Let's check it out. I'm actually going to start with the 808 bass sound. The Serum library has a whole selection of playable 808s that just sound amazing. And in my opinion, this is some of the best content in the whole library. If you're making hip-hop music or trap, this is definitely what you want to look at first. Now let's look at the drum pattern. Since we're using the 808 synth sound as the kick, there's actually no kick here at all. We've just got snare and hat pattern going on, but we can unmute some of the kicks I had in place just to give you an idea of some of the other options. Then we've got this awesome ARPy pluck drop sound. Next up, we've got an atmospheric future bass sort of beat. It's at a higher BPM, but we're doing it as a halftime feel. This one uses a single kick, closed hi-hat, but 2 layered claps. And then we can also check out what it would sound like to put in some different snare sounds instead of the claps. On the synth side, the first sound that you hear is this big, phasey, analog style pad. And then after that pad hits, we bring in another sound, which is much more of a digital wavetable sort of pad. Finally, there's the bass sound, which is a pretty sharp, plucky type sound. If I were using EQ, I might roll off the top end just a little bit here, but otherwise it does sound great. For the next section, we've got synthwave, and it's funny to think of this as a modern electronic sound because it is a throwback to the 80s, but it's very popular right now, as well as all the variants like vaporwave, futurewave, retrowave, all that kind of stuff. There are some fantastic drum machine style drums that come with the library, already pre-processed, so again, there's no external reverb here. Out of the box, it's just got that great 80s sound. On the synth side of things, we've got what I call a rolling bass sound, which is 16th notes. This sounds pretty huge and warm and analog. To accompany that, there's another 16th note arpeggiated pattern, which is another analog style pluck. I have to admit, I got a little carried away with the synths. I was just having so much fun. So I added another arpeggiated pluck sound here. And then this really fun lead sound. The vibrato is actually built into the sound. I'm not using any kind of automation. Actually, there's no automation here in this track at all. Finally, I've got a very aggressive, housey, techno-style clip. The use of synths here is pretty minimal, which is the idea, and that aggression is primarily coming from the bass sound. So let's check that out and hear how it sounds in isolation. On the drum end of things, we start out with just a kick and a shaker, which sounds pretty good. But I'm also using one of the drum loops that comes with the library. And as you'll see, if we browse the drum loops folder, many of these are split out into stems. So you can use the full stem, or you can just use a piece. Finally, we bring in a really hard-hitting snare sound, plus another percussion element. And that sort of unpitched arpeggiated sound is actually another serum patch, which is very good for this type of usage. It doesn't really stay on a single pitch. It moves all over the place. So that gives you some idea of how you can use Cyclops with literally no effects or any kind of mixing or processing at all, just the raw sounds coming out of the library. I want to show off more of the raw sounds, so we'll start by just browsing some of the one-shot drums. And then let's take a look at the Serum presets in a little bit more depth. Once you have the Serum presets installed, you'll see it appear with the rest of your user preset folders. Like I mentioned earlier, I love the 808s category. It just has some huge sounds here. Then we've got arpeggiated sounds. Basses are split into two categories. Here are the more straightforward standard basses, and then the other category is going to be really hard, edgy basses. So we'll start with the more straightforward basses first. Then we've got special effects sounds. These are the kind of crazy things that don't fit anywhere else. There are keys, which are playable poly sounds, great for all sorts of uses. There's plenty of lead sounds here, which range from smooth and mellow to things that can cut through just about any mix. Here's that modern bass category. I would definitely recommend this for hard genres like anything in the dubstep family, drum and bass with kind of respaces and things like that. pads encompass a pretty broad range. There's not a lot of super simple stuff here. Most of the things you'll hear have some evolution and movement to them. And finally, we have plucks, which can be used as rhythmic elements, arpeggios, and in some cases, they can even work as leads or basses. So there you go. That's an overview of CYCLOPS, the new release by Impact Soundworks, produced by Braille Audio. Whether you're an EDM producer, no matter what style you're making, I think you're going to find some great material here for your music. And if you're a film, TV, or game composer, you might find that these really enhance your tracks. There's certainly been a lot of hybrid music that's been popular lately, so this works just as well for that kind of music too. You can pick up CYCLOPS at impactsoundworks.com. And once again, you do not need Kontakt to use this library, unlike most of our other instruments. Anything that loads waves is going to do just fine. Although for the Serum presets, you do need Serum, of course. Anyway, this has been Andrew Aversa. Hope you enjoyed the sounds, and I'll see you next time.